My sister-in-law tried to kick me out of my own house while I was 8 months pregnant, then spread rumors I was cheating. So I did this at family dinner, and now my husband cut her off, and she's living in a motel. Throwaway because my sister-in-law snoops through everything, and I'm paranoid at this point. Sorry in advance for any typos. I'm literally shaking as I type this, and also pregnancy brain is real. Okay, so I need to explain a mess of a situation, and I don't know if I'm being hormonal and crazy or if this is actually happening. I'm 8 months pregnant and exhausted just typing this out, but I need outside opinions because I'm literally losing my mind. I, female, 32, and my husband Charles, male 34, have been married for 6 years, pretty happy overall, and now I'm 8 months pregnant with our first baby. We've been trying for about 2 years, so this pregnancy is really important to us. I've been working from home as a marketing analyst during my pregnancy because of some blood pressure issues. Nothing too serious, but my doctor wants me to take it easy. Charles works for this engineering firm that makes him travel sometimes, which has been fine until now, but is getting stressful as my due date gets closer. We bought our house about 3 years ago. Charles's parents helped us with the down payment as a wedding gift, which was super generous, but also means they think they get a say in everything about our lives now. Especially his mom, Carol, who constantly gives me advice about pregnancy and marriage that I never asked for. About 2 months ago, Charles's brother Spencer, male, 37, lost his job, and he and his wife Crystal, female, 35, couldn't afford their apartment anymore. Charles was like, they need to move in with us temporarily because family helps family. And even though I was really uncomfortable with the idea, I'm literally about to have a baby and need peace and quiet, I agreed because I didn't want to be the bitchy wife who wouldn't help his family. I know this makes me sound like a pushover, but I swear I'm not usually like this. Pregnancy has made me weirdly emotional, and I hate confrontation right now. I should mention that Crystal and I have never gotten along. Like, ever. She's always competing with me at family things and makes these little digs about my job or how I decorate or whatever. At first it was manageable. Spencer was actually job hunting and Crystal mostly kept to herself, though she did start reorganizing our living room and kitchen without asking, which honestly drives me crazy, and borrowing my maternity clothes without permission, which is weird because she's not pregnant. But then Charles had to leave for this 2-week business trip that absolutely couldn't be rescheduled, and everything got so much worse. So last week, I came downstairs one morning and found Crystal had completely rearranged all the nursery furniture that I'd spent like 2 weekends getting perfect. I asked her why she moved everything without asking me first, and she claimed the way I had it was bad energy and wasn't safe for the baby. When I tried explaining it was arranged based on my doula's practical suggestions, she cut me off and dismissed my doula's knowledge, bragging that she'd read every baby book. I started trying to move things back, but being 8 months pregnant made it super hard. Then Crystal called Spencer in for backup, who suggested maybe Crystal's arrangement was better. I was so tired and felt completely ganged up on in my own house. I just gave up and left. Crystal had the nerve to say I was finally making this nursery suitable for a baby as I was walking out. I literally went to our bedroom and cried. Things have gotten worse every day. Crystal uses my expensive pregnancy skincare products without asking, a $75 stretch mark cream that took me months to convince myself to splurge on, invites her friends over for these loud wine nights when I'm trying to rest, constantly criticizes my birth plan, saying I'm naive for wanting to try without an epidural first, and even comments on what I'm eating. She literally took a cookie out of my hand yesterday and said I shouldn't be eating it with my blood pressure issues. Like, who does that? I know I might sound petty complaining about these things, but it's constant, and I'm exhausted and uncomfortable all the time already, just from being so pregnant in summer heat. And Spencer is barely ever home because he's working temp jobs and looking for something permanent. So it's basically just me and Crystal all day since I'm working from home. Charles calls to check in, but he's been super distracted with this project. And when I tried to tell him about how Crystal is driving me insane, he just said I'm probably being sensitive because of pregnancy hormones. Seriously. But yesterday was the absolute last straw. I was supposed to be napping, doctor's orders for my blood pressure, but I got up to get some water. As I was walking down the hallway, I heard Crystal on the phone in the kitchen. She was saying she's making sure to keep me stressed, and that once I have complications, she'll suggest I stay with my mother. She said this house is way too big for just us anyway. She went on about how Charles is hardly ever here, and someone needs to take care of this place properly. Then she laughed and said she's been telling everyone how Charles is never home while I'm here all alone. I accidentally made the floor creak, and she immediately changed her tone. When she saw me, she put on this fake sweet smile, asking if I needed anything, then suggested I should really consider staying with my mom after the baby comes, because this house might be too much stress. Exactly what she just said on the phone. I was so shocked. I just mumbled something about needing fresh air and went to the backyard. I called Charles that night, but he seemed distracted and basically dismissed everything I said. He told me I'm pregnant and my hormones are probably making me more sensitive to things, Crystal says. I've never felt so alone in my own home. Then this morning, my friend Mia called me and I could tell something was wrong because she was being weird and hesitant. She finally told me that Crystal has been telling everyone, our friends, Charles's family, everyone, that I've been cheating on Charles with my coworker Matthew, who sometimes comes by for work meetings. Crystal is claiming she has evidence and is telling people she's worried about Charles and the baby. I am literally shaking typing this. Matthew is happily married with 3 kids, and our meetings are 100% professional. We're working on a marketing campaign together, and sometimes he brings physical materials that can't be shared digitally because of client confidentiality. There is nothing going on. And now Charles has been acting strange on our calls, asking weird questions about who's been visiting the house. And his parents called yesterday, making these odd comments about family commitment and thinking of the baby's future. I think Crystal has been talking to them too. I know this all sounds crazy, but I swear on my unborn baby's life, this is actually happening. I feel like my sister-in-law is trying to steal my life. I've never been the type to assume the worst about people, and maybe my pregnancy hormones are making me paranoid, but this feels so real and scary. I don't know what to do. I'm 8 months pregnant, my blood pressure is already a concern, and I feel like I'm being pushed out of my own home and marriage by my sister-in-law. Am I overreacting? Is this just pregnancy hormones? What should I do? Edit. Holy crap, this blew up overnight. Thanks for all the support. To answer some common questions. 1. Yes, we do have security cameras, but only at the exterior doors. I never thought I'd need them inside my own house with family, but that's looking like a good idea now. 2. No, I haven't directly confronted Crystal about the cheating rumors because I just found out this morning and I'm still processing. Plus, I'm trying not to make my blood pressure worse than it already is. 3. Several people asked why Matthew comes to my house instead of us meeting elsewhere. It's because I have a medical restriction on driving long distances at this stage of my pregnancy, and our office is 45 minutes away. The meetings are literally just work stuff, I swear. 4. To the people saying I should just kick them out, it's not that simple. Technically, it's Charles's house too. Actually, more his than mine since his parents helped with the down payment, and I don't feel right making that decision while he's away. Plus, Spencer has literally nowhere else to go right now, and despite everything, I don't want to make my husband's brother homeless. But believe me, I'm at my breaking point. 5. I probably sound crazy and paranoid, but I promise this is really happening. I've never been the type to create drama or see the worst in people, but Crystal has always been weirdly competitive with me, and now I think she actually wants my life. 6. A lot of you are suggesting I go stay with my mom until Charles gets back. That's not really an option because my mom lives in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment. I have work meetings I need to take from home, and why should I have to leave my house? But I get what you're saying, and I'm considering it if things get worse. 7. And no, I've never snooped through Crystal's stuff or given her any reason to dislike me this much. Now for the first update. So a lot has happened since my last post, and honestly, things have gotten so much worse. Like, I can't even believe this is my actual life right now. This entire week has been a total nightmare, and I'm literally struggling to keep my blood pressure under control with all this stress. After finding out about Crystal spreading those cheating rumors, I decided I needed to confront her directly. I waited until Spencer left for his evening shift because I didn't want him there making things even more complicated. I mean, He's barely around anyway because of all these temp jobs he's been taking, which is actually the one positive thing in this whole mess, because at least I don't have to deal with both of them together. So anyway, once Spencer was gone, I asked Crystal to talk with me in the kitchen. I tried to stay super calm, which was hard, and just straight up mentioned that I'd overheard her phone conversation about wanting me out of the house. She laughed in my face and told me I must be having pregnancy brain and totally misunderstood what she was saying. And I was thinking like, are you kidding me? I heard you with my own ears. I brought up the rumors she's been spreading about me and Matthew, and for just a second, she looked surprised I knew about it. But then she put on this innocent face and claimed she would never hurt me. When I asked what she's been telling people, she got defensive, saying she was just concerned after seeing some texts on my phone. First of all, why the hell was she looking at my phone? When I pointed that out, her tone changed to this super condescending voice, and she started telling me I'm just hormonal and paranoid, and that this kind of stress isn't good for the baby, with this fake concerned look that made me want to scream. I told her very clearly that this is my house, and she's a guest who should respect basic boundaries. She immediately started crying and claimed I was turning everyone against her when she's just trying to help, and then stormed off to the guest room and slammed the door like a teenager. I was left standing there like, what just happened? So after that disaster, I called Charles again to explain everything in detail. I mean, I kind of hoped having his wife sobbing on the phone might finally get through to him, but nope. The call went even worse than before. He seemed partially convinced by these stupid cheating rumors and was asking me about how often Matthew comes over and why I didn't tell him about these meetings. I couldn't believe it. We've been married 6 years. I'm literally carrying his child that we tried for 2 years to conceive, and he believes his manipulative sister-in-law over me. Like, we had all these plans together. We always talked about having 3 kids. Charles wanted all girls because he grew up with brothers. We spent weeks debating baby names before finally settling on either Olivia or Ethan, depending on the gender. And now he's acting like I'm some cheater who would throw all that away for a coworker who is happily married with 3 kids. After that call, I was desperate. I remembered that about a year ago, we had installed security cameras in the common areas of our house after our neighbor's place was broken into. There are cameras in the living room, kitchen, front entryway, and back door, all with Charles's knowledge and consent. I honestly had mostly forgotten about them since we rarely check the footage, but I realized they might show what Crystal's been up to. Oh my God, you guys. What I found made me literally throw up. Not exaggerating, actually threw up in the bathroom sink because I couldn't make it to the toilet. The footage showed 1. Crystal going through my laptop multiple times while I was napping and taking photos of my work documents. 2. Her deliberately moving my phone and car keys over and over, which explains why I've been late to so many appointments lately, and here I was blaming pregnancy brain. 3. Crystal showing visitors around our house like she owns it, saying she's letting us stay in the master bedroom for now. 4. Her telling Carol and Harold, my in-laws, that she was concerned about my mental state and suggesting the baby might not be safe with me. 5. And the worst part, footage of her taking my phone while I was in the bathroom and typing something before putting it back in. That last one made me check my text history with Matthew. And guess what? There were messages I never wrote, including one suggesting we meet when Charles was away that had been deleted from my phone but was still in the backup. She was setting me up. But wait, it gets worse. While I was organizing my pregnancy medical documents yesterday, I found mail addressed to Crystal that had been delivered to our address. When I looked closer, and yes, I opened it, I don't even care at this point if that was wrong, I realized Crystal has been using our address to apply for credit cards in my name. She's literally attempting identity theft while living in my house. I immediately froze my credit and contacted the card companies about the fraudulent applications. And then today, I came home early from my doctor's appointment. It ran short because my doctor had an emergency, and I came in through the back door. I could hear Crystal on the phone in the living room. She had no idea I was there. I overheard her saying that her plan was working perfectly and Charles already doubted me. She was laughing about it. Then she said once the baby comes, I'll be too exhausted to fight back, and that she'd already convinced Carol and Harold that I'm unstable. The worst part was when she said that I might lose the baby from all the stress of my affair, being exposed, and then Charles would definitely leave me, and they'd offer to buy the house from him at a discount. I accidentally gasped when I heard that. I couldn't help it, and she realized I was there. She quickly ended the call and switched to this fake concerned voice asking about my appointment. I was shaking so bad I couldn't even speak. I just went straight to my bedroom and locked the door. I called my brother right away for advice. He told me to gather all the evidence for both Charles and potentially the police for the identity theft stuff. He reminded me about the Wilson family dinner happening at our house in 2 days. Charles will be coming home tomorrow, the day before the dinner, and his whole extended family will be there. I'm torn between exposing Crystal privately to Charles first or doing it at the family dinner where she can't twist the story. I know causing family issues while 8 months pregnant probably isn't the smartest move, but I'm desperate to clear my name and protect my marriage. I feel like I'm in some kind of nightmare. So that's where I am now. I've compiled all my evidence, the video footage, the credit card applications, the doctored text messages, and recordings of Crystal's phone calls. Charles comes home tomorrow, and I'm praying he believes me. But after how easily she's poisoned everyone against me, I'm prepared for the worst. If he doesn't believe me, I'm going to have to expose everything at the family dinner. I don't want to, but what choice do I have at this point? Edit. Wow, I did not expect this to blow up again. Thanks for all the support. It's honestly keeping me sane right now. Edit 2. To everyone saying I should just leave and go to my mom's, like I said before, she lives in a tiny apartment and I shouldn't have to leave my own home. Also, I've been collecting evidence which I couldn't do from somewhere else. Edit 3. Several people have asked why I haven't called the police yet about the identity theft. I've already contacted the credit card companies and frozen my credit, but I want to talk to Charles first before involving the police. I know that sounds stupid, but I'm trying to avoid completely blowing up his family if there's another way to handle this. Edit 4. Yes, I've backed up all the video evidence in multiple places. I'm not taking any chances with this. It's on my personal cloud account. My brother has copies, and I have it on an external drive too. Edit 5. To those saying I'm making this up, I honestly wish I was. No one wants to believe their family member could be this manipulative and cruel. But the evidence doesn't lie, and I'm done doubting myself. Edit 6. A lot of you are asking if Spencer knows what Crystal is doing. From everything I've seen, I don't think he does. In the footage, she specifically says Spencer has no idea and still thinks they're just helping us out. I actually feel kind of bad for him too. Now for the second update. So much has happened since my last update, and honestly, I'm still processing everything. I'm basically in shock about how quickly things escalated and then finally resolved. Kind of. It's been about 3 weeks since everything went down, and I've been putting off posting because I needed time to actually breathe and make sure my blood pressure didn't send me into early labor or something. First of all, thank you so much to everyone who commented on my last post. You guys seriously kept me sane through all this. I read every comment, even though I couldn't respond to all of them. So after my last post, Charles was scheduled to come home the day before this big Wilson family dinner we host every year. I was scared about seeing him after all those weird phone calls where he seemed to be believing Crystal's lies. When he finally got home, he was distant. Like he hugged me, but it felt off and not like our usual reunions. Then he started making comments about honesty being the foundation of marriage and asking me really specific questions about when exactly Matthew came over for work meetings and why I hadn't mentioned them before. Because they're just normal work meetings that aren't worth mentioning. I could tell Crystal had gotten in his head deep and he was looking at me differently. It hurt a lot. I almost confronted him right then about everything I'd discovered, but our house was about to be filled with his entire extended family the next day, and I didn't want to start that conversation without privacy. So instead, I spent the entire next day preparing for this stupid dinner. And when I say preparing, I mean I spent 6 hours in the kitchen making everything from scratch, including Carol's favorite strawberry cheesecake. I literally had to go to 3 different stores to find the specific cream cheese she wanted. And yes, I know I probably shouldn't have been doing all that at 8+ months pregnant, but I was desperate to keep things normal. The entire time I was cooking, Crystal kept hovering around the kitchen, making these little comments like, "Oh, that's not how Carol likes the potatoes cut." Or, "Are you sure you should be using that much sugar in your condition?" I swear I almost stabbed her with the vegetable peeler at one point. Eventually, the house started filling up with Charles's family, his parents, Carol and Harold, 3 sets of aunts and uncles, several cousins, and obviously Spencer and Crystal. And I started noticing these weird comments from different family members throughout the afternoon. Like his Aunt Judith pulled me aside and said, "Family always comes first, dear," with this super meaningful look. And his Uncle Mike made some comment about marriages requiring forgiveness while glancing between me and Charles. It was so obvious Crystal had been spreading her poison to everyone. Crystal was being extra smug the whole time, constantly touching my baby bump without permission, which I hate, and saying things like, "We're all here for you and the baby, no matter what happens with you and Charles," like she was setting up this narrative where Charles and I were already having problems, and she kept pulling him aside for these private little conversations, after which he would look over at me with this mix of hurt and suspicion that made me feel sick. But the final straw happened when I went to the kitchen to get more water. I overheard Crystal and Carol talking in low voices. Carol was asking if she really thought I would cheat on Charles, and Crystal confidently said she'd seen inappropriate messages herself. Carol said she couldn't believe I would do this to him, and Crystal said some people aren't who they pretend to be. Then Carol asked if Crystal was sure about me planning to leave after the baby, and Crystal said I told her myself that I wasn't sure the marriage was working. Carol felt bad for Charles with the baby coming, and Crystal added that she and Spencer were ready to help and that they loved this house. I accidentally clinked the ice in my glass, and they both turned around looking startled. Carol immediately changed subjects, saying how beautiful the table looked with this fake smile. I just forced a smile back and left with my water, but my heart was pounding really hard. That was it. That was the final confirmation I needed that Crystal was actively trying to steal my freaking life. I quietly went upstairs, collected all my evidence, the printed screenshots, my laptop with the video clips, the recorded conversations, and those fraudulent credit card applications, and decided enough was enough. I was terrified, but also just beyond caring about being polite anymore. So dinner starts, and everyone's seated around our big dining table, 15 family members making small talk, while Crystal keeps making these little digs at me that only I would notice. Charles makes this toast about family unity and his parents' long marriage, which felt so ironic given what was happening. After the main course was cleared and before dessert, I stood up. I was shaking so bad, but somehow managed to stay standing. Everyone got quiet and looked at me, and I said, "I'd like everyone's attention for a moment." Crystal immediately tried to cut me off, saying this wasn't really the time for speeches, but Charles, thank God, said to let me speak. I took this deep breath and told everyone there had been rumors circulating about me in this family, and Crystal started shifting in her seat looking nervous. I connected my laptop to our TV and said I thought they all should see something. I played the first video clip where Crystal was talking about her plan to take over our house. The room went completely silent as Crystal's voice clearly said she hoped I'd lose the baby from stress so they could buy the house. Crystal jumped up screaming that it had been edited and I was trying to frame her, but I just calmly played the second clip showing her sending fake messages from my phone. Charles looked shocked as he watched. Then I showed everyone the credit card applications in my name that Crystal had filled out. Carol gasped really loud and asked Crystal if this was true, and Crystal stood up shouting that I was manipulating everyone. Spencer asked really quietly if that was her voice in those recordings, and she suddenly turned all tearful, claiming she was just venting and didn't mean any of it. I kept going, showing them the actual work-related texts with Matthew, and explaining how Crystal had doctored conversations to make them look inappropriate. Charles stood up and asked her directly if she made all of this up and tried to destroy our marriage, and Crystal completely lost it. She kept switching between apologizing and then accusing me of provoking her. Spencer looked really upset and said he had no idea what Crystal was doing. Harold demanded Crystal apologize to everyone, especially me, but instead she screamed that everyone was against her, and then she lunged toward me. Charles stepped between us immediately, protecting me and our baby, and told her to get out of our house right now and that she was never welcome here again. It was absolute chaos after that. The dinner obviously ended with Charles demanding Crystal leave immediately. She tried to claim she had nowhere to go, but Charles was not backing down, saying he couldn't have someone who threatened his wife and unborn child in their home. None of the family offered to take her in after seeing her behavior, not even Carol and Harold, who looked completely shocked by everything. Crystal eventually packed a small bag and went to some motel near the highway, while Spencer stayed with Charles's parents temporarily. He said he needed time to think about their marriage, which honestly makes sense given what he just found out about his wife. After everyone left, Charles and I had this really intense conversation. He kept apologizing over and over for ever doubting me and begging me to forgive him. And I did forgive him, I really did. But part of me is still hurt that he could believe those things about me so easily. Like, we've been together for 6 years. He knows me better than anyone. The fact that he could think for even a second that I would cheat on him while pregnant with our baby it still hurts, you know? I know I might sound hypocritical because I've been saying I'm not usually petty or vindictive or whatever, but watching Crystal being forced out of our house while everyone turned their backs on her gave me this satisfaction that I'm not proud of but can't deny. Maybe that makes me a worse person than I thought I was. Anyway, it's been about 3 weeks since the dinner. Crystal's still living in that motel and keeps sending these manipulative messages to different family members claiming she's being treated unfairly. Charles has completely cut contact with her and says he won't even consider talking to her again unless she gets therapy and makes a genuine apology to me. Spencer filed for separation last week after discovering Crystal had been hiding a bunch of debt from him. Apparently, this isn't even the first time she's pulled this kind of manipulation. She's done similar things with previous friends and family members. I'm now officially in my 9th month and could literally go into labor any day. It's such a relief to finally feel at peace in my own home again. Most of the family relationships are slowly healing. Carol and Harold have apologized like 1,000 times for believing Crystal instead of me. There are still some trust issues to work through, obviously, but things are so much better. We've upgraded our home security system and put extra protections on our finances just to be safe. I still feel really violated by everything Crystal did in our home. I honestly never imagined having to defend my marriage and home while 8 months pregnant. Like, who could even make this up? But despite everything, Charles and I are so excited to finally meet our baby in a house that's free of Crystal's toxic presence. I have really mixed feelings about the whole family situation. Part of me hopes Crystal will someday understand the damage she caused, but another part of me knows some relationships just can't and shouldn't be repaired. Right now, I'm just focusing on having a healthy baby and rebuilding trust with Charles. Thanks again for all your support through this complete nightmare. I'll probably post an update after the baby comes if anyone's interested. Edit. Oh my freaking god, some people are still accusing me of making this up. I literally wish this was made up. No one wants to believe their family member could be this manipulative and cruel. Edit 2. For those asking, yes, we did file a police report about the identity theft. The police said it's unfortunately common for family members to do this kind of thing. We decided not to press charges for now, mainly because of Spencer, who's already going through enough, but we have everything documented if we change our minds. Edit 3. A lot of you are asking if I'm going to let Crystal meet the baby. Absolutely not. Charles and I are in complete agreement that she will never be alone with our child. Period. Edit 4. Someone asked about Spencer. He's actually been really decent through all this. He's apologized multiple times and has been helping Charles's parents process everything. I feel bad for him too. He had no idea what Crystal was doing. Edit 5. To answer what seems like 100 questions. Yes, Crystal and Spencer are still living separately. No, we don't know if they'll get divorced or try counseling. No, we don't think Crystal has any actual mental illness, other than being a terrible person. Yes, Charles feels extremely guilty about believing her. And no, we haven't had the baby yet, but I'm due any day now.